Hello, everybody. This is Frank with Iron Age News. It's Saturday evening, believe it or not, March 14th, 9:16 p.m. in sunny South Florida. And we're going to talk about something that has not been brought up in the regular news. We like to scour the foreign news services because that's the only place you sometimes get the truth when it comes to the war in Arabia. And today we're going to talk about my favorite, the silent allies of this war, the anti-Iranian Arab coalition that is in the fight day in and day out. So we are going to tell you this story of how this is working. When most people are looking at the current confrontation with Iran, they see a simple picture. It's the United States and Israel facing off against Tehran. But that picture is an incomplete situation and is usually pushed mostly by American and Western mainstream media to add that extra nuance, Trump is a tool of the Jews, blah, 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 all that kind of nonsense. And the picture is complete, as I said, because just beneath the surface of this conflict, a much quieter coalition is at work. And it's one that rarely appears in the headlines, rarely makes speeches, and almost never declares its intentions publicly. Yet its radars are active, its fighters are flying, and its air defenses are intercepting missiles. Today, or tonight, we are going to talk about the silent allies, the Arab states that are quietly participating in the defense against Iranian escalation and terror in the Gulf. The countries involved are not a mystery. Across the Persian Gulf, a group of states have found themselves aligned, sometimes reluctantly, against Iran's regional ambition. And these include the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, everyone's favorite Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, and the Kingdom of Jordan. None of these countries have declared war on Iran. None are announcing bombing campaigns. But militarily, they are deeply involved in the defensive architecture surrounding the conflict, and they have been for years. Iran's strategy with the missiles and the drones and the naval harassment and proxy warfare has long been viewed by Gulf governments as an existential threat to their security and their way of life. So when tensions rise, the region's defensive network quietly activates. What makes this coalition effective is not public diplomacy, it is infrastructure. Across the region lies an integrated web of radar systems, missile defenses, and fighter patrols, and these include Patriot batteries, the THAAD missile interceptors, naval air defense systems, combat aircraft flying constant patrols over critical infrastructure. But the nerve center of this defensive network sits at the massive air base in Qatar, El Udeid Air Base. This installation hosts the Combined Air Operations Center for U.S. Central Command. And you can think of it as an air traffic control tower for the entire region's combat aircraft. From here, radar data is shared, threats are tracked, and defensive responses are coordinated. When Iranian missiles launch, they are often detected within seconds. From that moment, the entire regional defense network begins to move. So, Arab air forces are also playing a key role. Saudi Arabia personally flies advanced F-15SA fighter craft supplied by the United States. The Qataris operate the modern F-15QA. The UAE deploys highly capable F-16 Desert Falcons, and these aircraft conduct combat air patrols over the oil terminals, the shipping lanes, military bases, and population centers. And their job is rather simple, but very important. They intercept the threats before they can reach critical infrastructure. Sometimes it's drones, sometimes it's cruise missiles, and occasionally it's hostile aircraft. While the headlines may focus on American or Israeli operations, Gulf fighters are constantly airborne protecting the region's energy lifeline. If this cooperation is real, right? And it is, the obvious question becomes, why don't we hear about it? And the answer, of course, is the politics. Openly joining a war against Iran carries a risk for Arab governments, mostly along the religious lines. Domestic opinion and parts of the region remain sensitive to the idea of Arab states aligning too closely with Israel, and of course, the great Satan itself, the United States. Iran also has the ability to retaliate directly against Gulf oil infrastructure. It's much closer. They can be dropping sticks all over the place, right? And for economies built around energy exports, that risk cannot be ignored. So these governments frame their actions very carefully. They emphasize defense, not alliance. Fine by me. Protection of their territory, not participation in offensive operations. In short, they help, but they quietly help. One of the recent developments illustrates how complex this regional balance has become. The United States, as we know, has reportedly carried out major strikes against military installations on Karg Island. Karg is not just another topic. It is another topic. We've already covered it and the importance. And it's not just another target. It is the primary oil export hub for the country of Iran. But here's the critical detail. The strikes reportedly destroyed military defenses on the island while leaving the oil infrastructure itself intact. And you say, why does that matter? I said, because it transforms Karg into something strategic planners would call a hostage asset. The oil terminal is operational, but everybody knows we can destroy it whenever we want. And that message is directed not just at Iran, it is also aimed at the broader international community because countries that are buying oil from Iran or supporting Tehran's economy now understand that escalation could put those energy flows at risk. The United States could survive without oil from the Middle East. A lot of other countries couldn't. A lot of countries that are meddling in this on the side of Iran, especially, would crash and burn if something happened. What we are seeing in the Middle East today is not a formal alliance like NATO, because there is no treaty, no joint command structure that is publicly announced. Instead, what exists is a pragmatic alignment of interests, a network of states that share concerns about Iranian military power and regional instability. They provide radar coverage, the air bases, the fighter patrols, missile defense, and logistics. And together, these pieces form a defensive system that stretches from Jordan to the Strait of Hormuz. Okay. So usually history is going to focus on the loud actors in the conflict, the speeches, the airstrikes. Donald Trump in general will suck up all the oxygen if possible. You would think he was out there fighting this self by himself, right? The political declarations, but sometimes the most important players in these jobs that they are doing is allowing the United States and Israel to devote itself full time to battering the Iranians across the map, right? The ones who provide the infrastructure that makes everything else possible. In the Persian Gulf today, those players are the Arab states that are forming a silent defensive coalition. And they're not getting in the spotlight, but without them, the strategic balance of the region would look very different. So hats off to all the sheikhs and all the emirs and everybody else out there who's making this war just a little bit more fun to be a part of. So thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. We are on YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, Substack, www.southfloridaconservative.com. Those last two are be written documentation of what we have here, usually with more details. And that's about all we have for now. So have a good evening and enjoy your Sunday. Goodbye.